So the Clippers get back on track with a W against the Portland Trail Blazers. Shout out to Damian Lillard. He played pretty decent, but it wasn't good enough for his team to get the victory. So shout out to the Clippers for that. And I want to say this, they get back on track with the help of Kawhi Leonard. And to me, they had a horrible loss in Orlando. They had a horrible loss versus Orlando, I should say, because the Orlando Magic, they should be able to beat that type of team without the services of Kawhi Leonard. You still had Paul George. You still had Russell Westbrook. And to me, like I said, Kawhi, it just shows how much Kawhi really affects the game, because when he's there, defenses play different. The scheme is a lot different. And, a team's strategy is a lot different when you play against the Clippers rather than when he's not there. Teams just really kind of go at the Clippers with a little bit more open-mindedness because they don't really feel like without Kawhi, they feel like Kawhi must be like the staple of their defense. And which he is, because he is their best defender overall, because his defense can really change and flip a series or flip a game, and it has such an impact on games at times. It makes Kawhi such a great defender, which he's always been. And when you think about that, even playing this game last night against the Portland Trail Blazers, the Blazers, had moments where, they were doing some good things, getting the ball in the paint. Eubanks was scoring, and they got some good ball movement in the paint and got some good shots in the paint. But, with Kawhi Leonard being on the floor, it still, affects a lot of things in regards to certain angles, certain teams, how they attack certain teams. Kawhi affects a lot of that. So I feel like that's the biggest thing that Kawhi brings with his presence being on the floor, which allows the Clippers to just be a better team overall. Not only because it makes him not only because he's the best player on the team, but because the effect he has on the other team's psyche going into the game it basically gives the Clippers an opportunity to beat any team they play against. And, Portland's not a good team this year, but Damian Lillard can get hot at any point. And luckily he didn't get hot, go crazy or anything like that, because the Clippers might have had more of a problem. But either way, the Clippers, they had a full roster, and I didn't think that the Portland Trail Blazers really had a chance to beat them, especially with Kawhi back. Like I said, though, I think the Clippers, they muffed one against the Orlando Magic, so they had to come back and make sure they get a victory, against the Portland Trail Blazers, which they did. Paul George chipped in with 29. His shot selection is going to have to be a little bit better, at times. But he was a little bit off, and he didn't shoot very well, but he did get going in the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter. So that was big for the Clippers, and that was good for the team and everything. How they how they start putting up more points and how they extended their lead. And Kawhi definitely came back and hit some big shots, and got in his spots as he usually does and operate the way he does. And just the fact that the Clippers came back and got a win like this is good, because the standings are so tight right now. They have an opportunity to get the fourth seed, which they can take that from the Phoenix Suns, and they're actually like a half a game behind them, and they want to stay ahead of the Dallas Mavericks and the Golden State Warriors. So really, this win versus the Portland Trail Blazers was very, very important. And it was a big win also. Shout out to Russell Westbrook as well. He made some mistakes, of course, but like I said, his mistakes are at least, they're at least tolerable right now, because the Clippers are winning. So, if he can just keep them to a minimum and don't try to be the hero and things like that, I think the Clippers have a great chance of utilizing him more, in which that's what he wants. And, it won't, hurt the Clippers' chances of winning, if he's not trying to trying to do too much. So, if they keep it there with him, I think they'll be fine. But just as far as the win was very important, because as I said, the Clippers need to stay ahead of the the Golden State Warriors and the Dallas Mavericks if possible. If they can avoid playing one of those two teams in the first round or something like that, I think that would be good for their chances. Either way, I don't really think, they will threaten the Clippers too much or anything like that, but you never know. Playing against Luka Doncic, I'm pretty sure the Clippers are definitely tired of playing against him in the first round and definitely want to, maybe try to go elsewhere. Now that he got Kyrie, that could be a dangerous first round matchup, and you want to make your matchup as easy as possible, but either way, it's still going to be tough because if they stay in the fourth seed, they're going to have to more likely face Phoenix if Phoenix, stays in the fifth seed. So, either way, I guess their first round would be hard, but for some reason, I just want to see if they can get up as high as they can. If they're able to get that fourth seed, I think that would be good for them instead of being like the fifth or sixth seed. I don't know. For some reason, like I said, that matchup, you don't want to be the sixth seed because maybe you might be a situation where you have to face Denver first or something like that. So, the Clippers winning these type of games, yeah, they're easy games, or maybe not easy, but they're more so, games that the Clippers should win because, Portland's not a team the Clippers really, should be threatened by, which they're not. They're definitely a better team than Portland. So that's a game they should win. And I always say, if you want to be a great team, you got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. If you're like the next team they got up is the OKC Thunder, I expect the Clippers to get a victory because, that's a team they're supposed to beat. And if the West is so tight, it's so, like very small margin of error. You have to make sure you win every game as possible. And that game against Orlando, even though it's not the worst loss, but really that game can, hurt them if they go on like a 2 or 3 game losing streak for some reason, which I don't believe they will, but possibly that can happen. You look back at a game like Orlando, you can find yourself in the play-in tournament rather than find yourself in a playoff spot if you're winning games like that, the games you're supposed to win, beating the teams you're supposed to beat. So, definitely a big win for the Clippers. They're going to have to, just keep building on it. I need to see more defense. Kawhi will have to step up his defense a lot more. I just need to see a little bit more defensively from this team. Overall, like I said, the way they can score, the way they got so many scores, I'm not really worried about that side of the basketball. I would like to see more defense from them collectively as a team, get more turnovers and get more stops because all the length and wing players that you have, you should be getting more defensive stops. You should be getting more stops defensively on teams, not allowing them to get to the bucket as easy as they have. I watched a couple plays last night. Nurkic, gets to the cup pretty easily. Damian Lillard's getting to the cup pretty easily. It's like it's really not much resistance coming from the Clippers on the defensive end. And I feel like, they lag so much at times. They feel like they can just flip a switch on that defensive end, but that's not going to work. So that's the one thing I feel like the Clippers need to definitely work on a little bit more. Just looking at the Blazers game, even though they kept the Blazers pretty much at a minimum, the Blazers didn't score like 120 points or something like that. But even still, the Clippers defense at times, that lagging that it has, if you're playing against a better team than Portland, well, if you're lagging like that, a better team is going to go on a run, put you in position where your back is against the wall and you might have to fight and claw your way out of the situation. So that's the reason why I said I feel like the Clippers need to definitely, tighten the screws up on that defensive end and just allow their offense to flow off their defense and, build chemistry through that because I think that's their staple, which is their defense. And of course, they can knock down threes at a very high clip, but, even still, I think their defense needs to be more the focal point going forward, especially, if you want to, try to continuously get wins. And I think the Clippers, of course, that if it's up to them, they would like to win out the rest of the season. It's only like 10 games left in the season, which, it's not saying it's not possible, but it's definitely, it's definitely doable for the Clippers. So, they got a next one coming up against OKC. So, they're going to have to take care of business there and keep moving on and keep moving up in the standings because, it's a very tight race in the standings, but, the Clippers, if they can make it, if they can just, get themselves into the playoffs, solidify a spot, where they don't have to worry about, the playing tournament, anything like that, then they'll be able to relax. So hopefully they can just keep up their winning, keep it going forward so they can, get more wins and, solidify themselves, get them a solidified playoff spot, maybe where they can rest, the guys 1 or 2 games down the stretch of the season, which, I don't know if Ty Lue is going to do that or not, but he's been known to do that. So if they can, win a few more games, about 4 or 5 in a row and secure a spot, they might sit out Kawhi and PG a little bit, let them get a little bit of rest before the playoffs start, and then you have them ready to go, and hey, then you're ready to compete for a championship.